Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Kaliyugada Kalpataru, the fifth delight, Shri Raghavendra Gurusarvabhauma. Chapter 43, Mantra Siddhi, the grinding of sandalwood paste. Venkatanatha, along with Saraswati, set out and reached a village at sunrise after a couple of ghatis, that is, time units. It was an agrahara, a Brahmin settlement, with houses on both sides of the road, a serene pond in front, and a temple radiating divine splendor. The Acharya, along with his wife, alighted from the cart, washed their hands and feet in the pond, and sat in a nearby stone pavilion to rest. At that moment, a wealthy-looking man approached them and said, "Swami, you appear to be new here." The Acharya responded, "Yes, we are on our way to Kaveri Pattanam. Is there a Madhva household here?" The man, impressed by Acharya's radiance, introduced himself. "Swami, I am also a Madhva. My name is Bhimaraya. I am a landowner in this village. Today we are performing a grand Setu Samaradhana at our home. Kindly accept our hospitality, partake in our meal, and then continue your journey." Moved by Bhimaraya's humility and courtesy, the Acharya agreed. Bhimaraya led them to his large house on the same street, informed his family, and arranged a room for them. The woman of the house took Saraswati inside. After a short rest, the Acharya bathed in the pond, returned to the house, and after completing his Sandhyavandana, Deva Puja, and other rituals in the courtyard, sat for scriptural recitation. A moment passed when a robust young man arrived, walked around a few times, then approached the Acharya and abruptly asked, "Are you here for the meal?" Taken aback by such a sudden question, the Acharya composed himself and replied, "I do not know who you are. May I know your introduction?" Puffing out his chest with arrogance, the young man responded, "My name is Mukunda. Whatever I say in this house is final. Now you understand who I am, don't you?" Smirking, he continued, "Well, Swami, you seem to be here just for the meal, but shouldn't you also contribute in some way?" Although Venkatanatha was distressed at being addressed like a mere wandering Brahmin seeking food, he concealed his emotions and calmly responded, "How may I assist you?" Mukunda, now speaking authoritatively, said, "You look quite strong. Today we need to prepare Gandhakshate, that is sacred sandalwood paste, and turmeric blessed rice for hundreds of people. We require enough sandalwood paste for at least 50 to 60 people. You must prepare it, understand?" Without waiting for a response, Mukunda went to the temple, fetched a large grinding stone, a sandalwood log, and a water-filled vessel, placed them in front of the Acharya, and casually ordered, "Here, begin." Then, without another word, he walked away. Although the Acharya felt hurt, he believed that serving Brahmins pleased the Lord. He pondered how virtuous and humble the head of the household was, yet how rude and uncivilized his son Mukunda was. Surprised that such people existed in the world, the Acharya began grinding the sandalwood paste. As he did, the Agni Sukta spontaneously flowed from his lips. As Venkatanatha continued chanting the Vedic hymn while grinding the sandalwood, Mukunda stormed in once again, stomping his feet. "Oh, now the Vedas too. Enough of your recitation. Hurry up. It's getting late." He barked before rushing out once more. At that moment, Saraswati happened to enter the Padasala, that is courtyard, and witnessed Mukunda's rude commands, and to her horror saw her husband grinding sandalwood. A turmoil arose within her. "What injustice! My husband, who is revered by kings and Pitadipatis, that is pontiffs, is being made to grind sandalwood like a commoner. A scholar of the Vedas, a master of all Shastras, and a jewel of the Paschima Vaidika lineage. How can such a noble soul be ordered around like a servant?" Overwhelmed by sorrow and distress, tears streamed from her eyes. Witnessing this great dishonor to her husband, the tender-hearted Saraswati broke down and wept bitterly. Hearing her sobs, Venkatanatha lifted her head and saw his beloved wife's tear-filled eyes. Their gazes met. The Acharya placed his finger on his nose, silently signaling her to remain calm. Helpless, Saraswati wiped her tears with the edge of her sari and retreated to her room, unable to bear the sight. Seeing his wife's sorrow, the Acharya was moved. He quickly finished preparing the Gandhakshate, then sat immersed in his Parayana, that is scriptural recitation. Soon Mukunda returned and took the Gandhakshita away. Once the Nevidya, that is sacred food offering, was complete, the Brahmins and Sumangalis, that is auspicious married women, proceeded to the large dining hall, where they began seating themselves in neat rows. The priest distributed Tirtha Prasada and Gandhakshite, and the leaf plates were arranged for the meal. Bhimaraya noticed that Acharya was missing from the Brahmin assembly, searched for him and approached his resting place. Folding his hands, he respectfully said, Mahaswami, the Tirtha is being served. Why have you not come? Please, Swami, honor us with your presence. Venkatanatha stood up, ready to accompany him. At that moment, from the large Padasala, loud cries of distress erupted. Ayo, burning, burning, fire. My life is leaving me. Father, mother, it's burning, fire. Hearing the commotion, Bhimaraya rushed there in panic, followed closely by the Acharya. The sight before them caused immense anguish. 30 to 40 Brahmins were clenching their stomach, foreheads and shoulders, screaming, it's burning, fire, I feel like I'm dying. No one could comprehend what had happened. Bhimaraya, alarmed, asked what happened. The priest, equally perplexed, responded, We don't know, Swami. The moment they applied the Gandha, sandalwood paste, they started screaming like this. Maybe some strong irritant got mixed into it. Bhimaraya then asked, Who prepared the Gandha? The priest replied, Your son Mukunda. Mukunda, startled, immediately defended himself, Not me, father. This Brahmin prepared it. I don't know anything about it. Purohit Ramacharya, furious, scolded Mukunda, Wretched boy, I told you to prepare the Gandha, and you made this Brahmin do instead. Has your wickedness not left you yet? The head of the household turned to Venkatanatha in anger and asked, Swami, what is all this? How did this happen? Ramacharya intervened, saying, Swami, you are known as a great saint. I have heard that dishonoring a Brahmin leads to curses and sufferings, but your radiance declares that you are a Mantrasiddha, a master of divine chants. My foolish son is ignorance, has caused this Brahmin such pain. Please save them. Venkatanatha, remaining calm, replied, I do not know why this happened. When I was asked to prepare the Gandha, I was reciting the Agni Sukta. Perhaps its divine energy has manifested in this way. Do not worry. Shri Hari and Vayudeva will protect them. Swami Ramacharya, bring me the Gandha that was given to the Brahmins, along with some Argapala, Sri, Devatirtha, sacred water offerings to the deity. Ramacharya quickly brought the requested items. Venkatanatha then sat in Padmasana, facing east. After performing Achamana, that is ritual cleansing, and Asana Shuddhi, that is purification of the seat, he solemnly placed the Gandha and Devatirtha in the sacred vessel, mixed them together. Keeping the Gandha on his right thigh, he gently touched it with his fingers, closed his eyes halfway, and began chanting Varuna Devata, specific Vedic mantra. Meanwhile, the Brahmins continued wailing in pain. Hearing the cries, the women of the household and Sumangalis gathered to witness the scene. Bhimaraya and Ramacharya, astonished, stood watching the Acharya in reverence. From Venkatanatha's lips, the melodious Vedic mantra began to flow effortlessly. As Venkatanatha continued chanting the Vedic hymn, Varna Sukta, the sacred verses resonated throughout the air. Following this, he continued. As Venkatanatha chanted these powerful Varana mantras, the burning pain and discomfort experienced by the Brahmins began to ease. Slowing the sufferings lessened and their expressions softened. Venkatanatha then turned his gaze towards the Sumangalis. He noticed Saraswati's face blossoming with joy, her eyes brimming with tears of bliss. Smiling gently, the Acharya stood up and instructed the priest to apply the Gandha, that is sandalwood paste, to the afflicted Brahmins. He handed the sacred Gandha vessel to the Purohits. The priest immediately distributed the Gandha to all those suffering from the burning sensation. As the Brahmins applied it to their chest, shoulders, stomach, and foreheads, an astonishing miracle occurred. The moment the Gandha touched their skin, they felt a cooling, soothing relief. The excruciating burn vanished instantly. Overwhelmed with joy, they exclaimed, Ah, bliss, divine bliss! The burning has disappeared. What a refreshing sensation! We have been saved. Their faces lit up with joy as they began dancing in happiness. Bhimaraya, witnessing this miraculous transformation, prostrated before Venkatanatha with tears in his eyes. Mahanubhava, you have freed me from my sins. You are truly a great soul, a mantra siddha, he praised. The Brahmins, now convinced, proclaimed, yes, he is indeed a Mahatma. At that moment, a 75-year-old elder stepped forward and asked, who is this great being who had saved our lives? The priest, pointing towards Venkatanatha, the elderly man approached, observed him closely, and suddenly exclaimed, Ha, Venkatanatha Acharya. Bhimaraya, astonished, asked, do you know him? The elder, filled with emotion, turned towards the household and rebuked them. Did you make this noble soul grind sandalwood for you? What sinners you are! The priest, deeply ashamed, lamented, Haigriva Acharya, it was not us, it was my son who committed this sin, Swami. Bhimaraya, still in disbelief, once again asked, Swami, do you know him? Haigriva Acharya then bowed before Venkatanatha and said, Raya, this noble person before you is none other than Venkatanatha Acharya. He is the jewel of the Satvika lineage, a master of all Shastras and a beloved disciple of Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu and Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu. I am not worthy of introducing such a great scholar. 2 years ago, I witnessed his extraordinary wisdom during the Mahavidvat Sabha in Madurai, presided over by Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu. In that grand assembly, he debated on all Shastras, defeated numerous scholars, and emerged victorious in front of thousands. Though he may not know me, I remember that moment well. Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu, overwhelmed with joy, took the very shawl he was wearing and draped it over Venkatanatha, blessing him. Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu Swami too honored him by placing his own golden tulsi mala around his neck and bestowing upon him the rare title of Sakala Kala Vallabha in recognition of his unparalleled scholarship. The next day, at Guru's command, Venkatanatha played the veena. I cannot describe the divine experience of the veena recital. The assembly of learned scholars declared anonymously that no other veena player in South India could match his mastery. Even Maduradesha, that is king of Madurai, was so impressed that he conferred upon him the title of Vainika Chakravarti, that is Emperor of Veena. That sight still remains vivid in my memory. I have already admired him as a master of all scriptures and music, but today, after witnessing his spiritual power, I feel truly blessed. O Mantrasiddha Acharya, you have saved our lives. Our salutations to you. Haigriva Acharya prostrated before him. Hearing this, everyone filled with joy and amazement, and they began to praise Venkatanatha. The Sumangadis gathered around Saraswati, lauding her. You are truly blessed to be the wife of such a noble soul. Saraswati's face lit up with radiant smile of victory. The Purohit, folding his hands, pleaded, Swami, please forgive my son's offense. Do not let this Brahmin insult bring a curse upon our lineage. Bless us so that our family is not tainted. The Acharya replied calmly, do not grieve over the past. That was just a fleeting moment of misjudgment. I had no resentment towards your son. When I was asked to prepare the Gandha, I considered it as nothing but service to the noble Brahmins, a direct service to Lord Vishnu himself. However, I never imagined it would manifest in such a way. The Brahmins, overwhelmed by his wisdom and compassion, exclaimed, Ah, what profound spiritual insight, such humility. He is truly a Mahanubhava, that is great soul. At that moment, Haigriva turned to Ramacharya and said, Swami, this great scholar is not an outsider to you. He is none other than the son of your revered Guru. Ramacharya turned towards Venkatanatha and exclaimed, What? Is he the son of our revered Guru Shri Timmannacharya? Overcome with emotion, he addressed Venkatanatha, Swami, I was your father's disciple. I studied Nyaya and Vedanta Shastra under him for 3 years at the Kumbakonam Vidyapita. I regret that I was never able to offer Guru Dakshina to him, but now my own son has unknowingly paid my debt with ignorance. Mukunda, realizing the enormity of his mistake, fell at Venkatanatha's feet and pleaded, Swami, please forgive my offense. I was led astray by bad company and arrogance. You have opened my eyes today. From now on, I will live as a worthy son to my father. Venkatanatha, placing his hands gently on Mukunda's back, comforted him, saying, I hold no anger towards you, dear one. From today, live in a way that brings joy to your father. Bhimaraya, bowed with respect, said, Swami, I am overjoyed to learn that you are the jewel of the Shastika lineage. I too belong to the Shastika clan, from the Kaushika Gotra and the Ankarasa family lineage. The Acharya smilingly responded, I am delighted as well. It is a honor to accept the hospitality of a kingsman. After the priest offered tirtha and prasada to the Acharya couple, the Brahmins and Sumangalis completed their meal. Following the feast, Bhimaraya seated the Acharya couple on a decorated platform in his home. He then instructed his wife to present turmeric, kumkum, a silk sari, bangles, and flowers to Saraswati. To honor Venkatanatha, he draped a shawl over him and placed 200 gold varahas on a silver tray before him as an offering. Surprised, Venkatanatha said, Raya, what is the need for all this? Bhimaraya, with folded hands, replied, This is not just a gift, Swami. It's an offering to a noble kinsman and an act of atonement. Despite the Acharya's repeated refusals, Bhimaraya insisted. Finally, Venkatanatha accepted the offerings, but immediately distributed the wealth among the Brahmins present, keeping nothing for himself. Witnessing the Acharya's selflessness and generosity, everyone present was filled with admiration and reverence. Soon after, the Brahmins, Bhimaraya family, and all the villagers gathered to bid farewell to the Acharya couple. They escorted them to the cart and offered their respects as they prepared to leave. As the cart rumbled away, carrying them beyond the outskirts of the village, Saraswati, her face beaming with quiet joy, gently bowed her head onto her husband's feet and whispered, Swami, you are a Mahatma, a Mantra Siddha. How many lifetimes of merit must I have accumulated to be worthy of your hand? Tears of joy and devotion streamed from her eyes, washing over his feet. The Acharya, touched by her sincerity, lifted her gently, smiled and said, How emotional you are, Saras. Saraswati, wiping her tears, smiled back and replied, Respected one, when you are the love of my heart, isn't it natural for me to be emotional? Venkatanatha, Saraswati, what greatness do you see in me that makes you love me so much? Saraswati, as your life companion, every day, every moment, I have been witnessing the boundless depth of your greatness. But today, having directly seen your divine power and majesty, this humble servant of your feet has become mad with love for you. Venkatanatha, everything that happened today was because of you. There is no greatness of mine in it. Saraswati, astonished, what role did I have in today's miracle? Venkatanatha, it all happened because of you. Saraswati, how so? Venkatanatha, when you saw me grinding sandalwood, you were deeply pained, and tears flowed from your eyes, didn't they? Saraswati, yes. Seeing you in that situation, my heart was torn apart with sorrow, and I couldn't help but cry. But what does that have to do with what happened? Venkatanatha, Saras, a devoted wife's tears have the power to burn the entire world. The drops that fell from your eyes were not just waters, but sparks of fire. Each tear that touched the sandalwood paste turned into embers, which unknowingly burned those innocent Brahmins. It was your tears that caused it, not my mantra power. Saraswati, speechless, Swami, you are incredibly persuasive. If anyone listens to your arguments, they will undoubtedly believe you. How can someone as insignificant as me possess such power? This is all your greatness. Please do not flatter me. Even if I were to agree for your satisfaction, wasn't it your mantra power that purified the sandalwood paste and relieved the Brahmins of their burns? Venkatanatha, smiling gently, that too happened only because of your influence. Saraswati, what is this? With every sentence you attribute it to my influence. What do you try to hide your mantra's greatness and instead please your wife? Venkatanatha, gently holding her cheek. Saras, you look so beautiful when you are upset. Saraswati, blushing, it seemed you won't be satisfied unless you tease me. Leave that aside. Don't change the subject. Answer my question. Venkatanatha, laughing. Saraswati, when Bhimaraya bowed before me, pleaded to save the Brahmins from their suffering, you shed tears of joy, didn't you? The tears that fell from your eyes turned to drops of nectar, infusing the sandalwood paste with divine energy and healing the Brahmins. So wasn't it your tears that removed their suffering and brought them joy? Saraswati, Swami, I'm no match for you in arguments. I cannot counter your words. The truth is, you are a mantra siddha, a great soul. The joy and pride I feel in being your wife cannot be expressed in mere words. But tell me, why did you donate the wealth given by Bhimaraya to the Brahmins? Venkatanatha, if I had kept it, I would have been guilty of deceiving the divine. Saraswati, how so? Venkatanatha, Saraswati, something miraculous happened today. Everyone believes that it was due to my mantra siddhi, but I see it a mere coincidence. Even if by divine grace I did possess such mantra power, keeping the wealth would have been a crime. Bhimaraya gave it as an offering, believing that I had saved the Brahmins through mantra siddhi. By accepting that wealth, I would have endorsed his belief. If I had received divine mantra siddhi but accepted money for using it, wouldn't that be equivalent to selling it? Wouldn't that mean I put a price on divine power? If someone commercializes or exploits divine gifts for personal gain, not only is it a betrayal of the divine, but that very power will also lead them. Divine blessings and spiritual attainment should only be used for the welfare of the world, never for selfish reasons. That is why I immediately donated the wealth to the Brahmins. Do you understand now? Saraswati, you are truly a wise man, Swami, a knower of scriptures. Now I fully understand that what you did was right. Venkatanatha, look Saraswati, such events happen according to the will and the determination of the Lord. We must remain detached and understand this. If I start believing that I possess extraordinary power and that I perform these miracles, it will only lead to arrogance, ego, jealousy, and resentment, which will result in my downfall. That is why we must remain cautious in such matters. Engaged in their affectionate conversation, the husband and the wife continued their journey and finally arrived at the Agrahara of Kaveri Patana. As per the instructions of Sri Sudhinda Tirtharu, Venkatanatha established a Vidyapita, that is school of learning, in Kaveri Patana. Around the same time, Gopama also joined them. Many scholars and Vaidikas from the town enrolled their sons, aged between 8 and 16, into the Vidyapita. Under the Acharya's guidance, 30 to 40 students began studying Rigveda, Yajurveda, Kavyas, Nyayas, Vedanta, and Vyakarana, that is grammar. Within a few months, the students made remarkable progress and were deeply committed to their studies, leading to the fame of the Vidyapita, spreading far and wide. Venkatanatha's mastery over the scriptures, his eloquence in teachings, and the affection with which he guided his students gained him immense recognition. Inspired by his reputation, 10 to 12 more young men from nearby Agraharas joined the Vidyapita to study Nyaya, Vedanta, Vyakarana, and other advanced scriptures. This greatly pleased Venkatanatha. However, this expansion led to a challenge. Accommodation and food arrangements for the students became a concern. Venkatanatha, with his compassionate nature, arranged for the students to stay within the Vidyapita and personally took responsibility for their meals at his home. This generosity further deepened the students' respect and devotion towards him, allowing them to pursue their studies with ease and peace of mind. Meanwhile, Saraswati, deeply devoted to her husband, conceived by the grace of the Lord. The news of her pregnancy filled Gopama with boundless joy. She cared for her daughter-in-law like a delicate flower. When Venkatanatha learned that he was to become a father, his heart swelled with happiness. He showered even more love upon his wife, ensuring that she was always content and comfortable. When Saraswati was 5 months pregnant, Gopama invited the local Subangaris and organized the Humbudiso Shastra, a traditional pregnancy ceremony, with great grandeur. In the 7th month, Venkatanatha performed the Srimanta Pumsavana ritual of his wife in a grand manner, and afterwards he sent Saraswati to her father's home, accompanied by his mother and father-in-law for childbirth. On the auspicious day of Chaitra Shukla Saptami, after Nala Samvatsara year, Saraswati gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Upon receiving the news, Gopama and Venkatanatha were overwhelmed with joy. Following the invitation of his father-in-law, Venkatanatha travelled to their house with his mother to celebrate the arrival of his son. After the Mangala Snana, that is ceremonial bath, for Saraswati and the newborn, he conducted the Jatakarma and Namakarna, that is naming ceremony, bestowing upon his son the name Lakshmi Narayana. The child, radiant and exceptionally beautiful, became the center of joy for the entire family. Venkatanatha, along with his relatives and well-wishers, celebrated the birth with great enthusiasm. For Gopama, this was a moment of unparalleled bliss. She cradled and played with her grandson, singing lullabies with immense affection. After staying for a few days, Venkatanatha, accompanied by his elder brother, sister-in-law, mother, and Venkatanarayana, returned to Ramachandrapura, carrying with him the profound joy of fatherhood and the blessings of his family. After completing the naming ceremony of their grandson, Gopikamba Devi fell ill with fever and cough. As a result, Venkatanarayana postponed his journey to Kaveri Pattanam and dedicated himself to caring for his ailing mother. However, her health continued to deteriorate, and eventually at the age of 60, she passed away while chanting the holy name of Sri Hari, attaining Vaikuntha. The death of their loving mother was a profound shock to her sons, Guru Raja and Venkatanatha. The loss of such a deeply affectionate mother left them and their relatives in immense grief. Accepting it as the will of God, Guru Rajacharya and Venkatanatha performed their mother's last rites with utmost devotion and adherence to traditional rituals. Family and relatives gathered to offer their respects and bid farewell to the noble mother. After the mourning period, Venkatanatha, along with his sister, brother-in-law, Lakshmi Narayanacharya and nephew Narayana returned to Kaveri Lakshmi Narayanacharya and Venkatanamba took great care to ensure that Venkatanatha did not feel any sorrow or burden. One day, Lakshmi Narayanacharya introduced a middle-aged couple to Venkatanatha and said, Venkatanatha, these are my distant relatives, Srinivasa and Padmavati. I have brought them here for your convenience. Srinivasa Acharya will oversee the affairs of the Vidyapita, manage your land and property matters, and take care of household responsibilities. Padmavati will assist in the kitchen and other household chores. Venkatanatha was pleased and responded, This is wonderful, dear brother-in-law. Let them stay at the Vidyapita and dine at our home. This arrangement will be beneficial for both Saraswati and me. Srinivasa Acharya, impressed by Venkatanatha's generosity, humbly replied, We will take care of your household and Vidyapita affairs and serve you with devotion. A few days later, Lakshmi Narayanacharya, his wife, and other family members took leave from Venkatanatha and departed for Madurai. Observing the discipline, good conduct, and efficiency of Srinivasa Acharya and Padmavati in managing household and institutional affairs, Venkatanatha was relieved, entrusting them with all responsibilities. He dedicated himself fully to teachings and scholarly discussions at the Vidyapita. After 5 months, Saraswati and their sons, Lakshmi Narayana were ceremoniously brought back home, accompanied by her parents. After staying for a couple of days, they bid farewell and returned to their village. Seeing his radiant wife, whose beauty and grace had blossomed even more, and his charming young son, Venkatanatha was overwhelmed with joy. The little child's playful innocence delighted the couple, bringing boundless happiness into their home. Their house became a heaven of bliss and laughter. The advanced students of Vidyapita developed an immense fondness for little Lakshmi Narayana. Every day they found joy in spending time with him, playing and showering him with affection. Meanwhile, Saraswati, with her nurturing disposition, kindness, and warmth, won the hearts of the students. They regarded her with the same respect and love as their own mother, serving her with unwavering devotion and trust. Padmavati, diligently managing all household chores with great precision and dedication, endeared herself deeply to Saraswati. The noble nature, efficiency, and devotion of the couple greatly pleased Venkatanatha and Saraswati. Entrusting them with all responsibilities, they spent their days peacefully and happily. Venkatanatha immersed himself in teachings and scholarly discussions, while also taking immense joy in his beloved son's playful innocence, and cherished precious moments with his dear wife. Days passed in blissful harmony. On Vaishakha Shukla Navami of the Kalayugada year, Venkatanatha organized a grand chavala, that is first tonsure and Aksharabhyasa, initiation into learning, ceremony for his son Lakshmi Narayana. He invited his elder brother, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, sister, nephews, and other relatives to partake in the auspicious occasion. Pandit Ramachandra Acharya, on behalf of Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, presented gifts and Phalamantrakshate to the child, offering his divine blessings. The ceremony concluded joyously with all events unfolding smoothly and blissfully. After the celebrations, the visiting relatives and guests sought the permission of the Acharya couple and returned to their respective homes, leaving the family immersed in contentment. Hari Om. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.